Welcome everyone to our Monday Live program. My guest today is Monkey, and it is going to be a fantastic program. So, Monkey, welcome. We haven't done this in a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's good to see you.
It's very good to see you, and I'll be in your neighborhood in the not too distant future too. Look forward to going out to dinner with you. Listen, there's so much to talk about. So, but real quick, catching up. I see you've been real busy lately. So what's been on your radar?
Oh, it's been all of the ships in China and Shanghai, the ports shutting down, supply chain issues. You know, we talk about the shortages that are coming. We hear about them, and but those shortages that the mainstream media is talking about they're not related to the Shanghai stuff. The shortages they're talking about are food shortages and things that have to do with the wheat and the grain and things like that. And so the Shanghai piece is something that they're really not looking at, which is it's crazy when you think about it, but that's going to hit us before everything else, because if you go look at the port in Long Beach right now, or LA, it's down to about 8 to 10 ships sitting, waiting to go in. Everything else is actually in the loading docks or unloading docks. And there's really not that much out there, which is a pretty good indicator that nothing's coming. And so as soon as that clears out, those ports are almost going to be empty. And then that, I think, is when you're going to start to see everything kind of take place, because we'll do a quick burn down on inventories here in the U.S. And then once it's gone, it's going to be months before you see it again, if ever, again this year at least.
Wow. So when we look at things, we're hearing about food shortages. We have all these economic indicators that this whole the wheels are about ready to fall off this whole economic bus. And, looking at these different things, we have the diesel fuel shortage problem. Have you been hearing about the diesel fuel stuff?
Yeah. Well, and that impacts a lot of people, right? That impacts your farmers. It impacts your truckers. Heck, we're even having, you can go look at the railroad piece of it from a supply chain, and it's almost every aspect of our supply chain that's being impacted. The airlines, not quite yet, but that's coming, because what they do is they hedge. They go out and they buy futures in gasoline and oil, right? And so, that way, when you have some kind of economic downturn, it doesn't hit them right out of the gate. Now, the smaller airlines like Frontier and Spirit and those guys, they don't have the wallets to go out and buy like the Deltas and the Americans and the Uniteds. But that's coming for sure. You're going to see airline ticket prices go through the roof because of fuel costs. So it's not just diesel. It's going to be a lot of different, almost anything that we use to move goods is going to start going through the roof, which is going to drive the cost of our goods up.
Yeah. And so you look at the strategic petroleum reserves in America. Biden's pretty much been going through that, or has gone through that. Now, from what I understand, in order to refill the reserves, he has to purchase oil from elsewhere.
Yeah, that guy's not the smartest tool in the shed, man. He's just economics 101. I don't think he was at the top of his class. In fact, he's probably at the bottom of his class. In fact, I think he was at the bottom of his class. But yeah, this is it's pretty bad. I mean, you think about it, we're burning down. That's why our fuel costs are down right now. We burn about 50 million barrels a day in terms of conversion to gasoline, right? That's what our consumption rate is in the U.S. So when he's releasing that stuff from our reserves, that's what he's doing, and he's offsetting the cost. So we're not feeling it at the pump just yet. But he can only do that for so long. But yeah, he's burning our reserve down to a pretty record level. So yeah, that's pretty dumb. You think about having to go out and buy it from somebody else to replenish it, which is really stupid when you think, because the United States is one of the largest producers of oil. I didn't know this until I started researching the situation we're in, but we produce more oil than anybody else in the world. It's absolutely insane the amount of oil we put out. We're like the number one provider.
So, okay, so we look at that, and then we look at food, because certainly here in the U.S., I mean, you look at all of the farmland. You can start on the west coast of California, start going across America, and we could farm everything, yet Bill Gates is buying up farmland. You have, I think, BlackRock and Vanguard together are in the business now, and you're thinking, okay, we're hearing about the elimination of we know poultry. Now this is me thinking. I'm watching what's going on with the bird flu, and I think, okay, the bird flu is legitimate, but they're destroying millions of birds.
Tens of millions,
Yeah, I've read a report. It was just yesterday where one bird was discovered with a coronavirus of all things. The whole thing is just fishy to me. But the company destroyed something like 5.5 million chickens over it. And you're looking,
incredible.
It does, and laying off, I think 300 employees were laid off.
Wow.
So you're looking, going, okay, there's no intent to bring this back. And then you start following this all the way through, and you're going, this is happening in the food industry across the board, mainly protein, meat of different sources are being eliminated. And it's highly suspicious when you have Bill Gates saying, well, we need to have plant-based food, and you got Vanguard and BlackRock in the business. You're going, now this to me seems like it's manipulated, and they've got a particular direction that they're going with all of this.
It does appear that way. I mean, you can go back and look at it over the last several years. Not only do you have the production plants catching on fire and having very weird, strange things happening there, you've got the tractors that the farmers buy, the high-end tractors. There's a company that manufactures them in Duluth, Georgia, that actually was cyber attacked with ransomware, and it shut down their production. So now they're saying they've got this huge delay in tractor production, which is what we use to work our crops. And then you've got you can't get fertilizer. You've got crop failures because of drought, so to speak, right? And then you got chickens and pigs and turkeys and everything else that's being wiped out. They're basically culling tens of millions because of either swine flu, bird flu, whatever it may be. Yeah, it's a perfect storm, and it's I can see. I don't know how we don't have a shortage yet. It's actually it's pretty remarkable when you look at everything together, as it all comes together.
It is all coming together all at the same time. When I think of the issue with the plants burning down, the food plants, a plane ran into one, all these things were going on when I was over in Israel. So I wasn't getting a lot of info, but every once in a while something would come across my phone, I'd find it. And then yesterday I find out that social media is canceling some of the stories regarding these buildings that have been burning down, these food plant places. And I'm thinking, okay, so what is it that they don't want us to know? So then here's some questions that are worth thinking about. Why has America's energy independence been destroyed? Why is America's economy being destroyed by lockdowns, inflation, supply chain crisis, etc.? Why is America's healthcare system about to be destroyed? Why has America Border Patrol been made ineffective? Why were billions of dollars of America's weapons left in Afghanistan? Why does America's proposed budget reduce the size of America's army? Why is the Constitution, freedom of speech, being destroyed? I mean, you start looking at all these different things, you're going, and that's just America, but you can look across the board and see all of these things happening. And then we launch over to Russia and Ukraine. Where do you see Russia and Ukraine? Where do you see that thing going?
Oh, I think Russia's got their eyes on NATO. I think that's what is going to be their next big move. Right now, they're just priming the pump with Ukraine. They're trying to do that. I think it's strategic in nature because of the farming, because of the oil production, because of things like that. But yeah, they've got their eyes on a lot of other land in that general region, I think. Just because they when I watch the flights and I watch where we're doing reconnaissance, all the surveillance that we do, we're all the way up into the Baltic Sea area, all the way up to Finland, all the way down, to the south end of Europe. I mean, they're coast to coast on their surveillance right now, and that's because Russia is pushing in a lot of assets into the Black Sea, up in the Baltic Sea. They've got a lot of things going. And it would appear that their plan is to get this Ukraine stuff resolved, and then they're moving out, I think, personally. And I think NATO may even be instigating some of that. So but yeah, it's definitely going to escalate. I don't see any indication based on the flights, based on the assets they're putting in the theater, based on the amount of money the U.S. is pumping into the war, that would indicate it is going away anytime soon, if at all.
Yeah. Do you think that there's any realistic chance of something nuclear coming with this?
I do, actually. Probably if I had to pinpoint something, I'd say it's probably going to be in Poland. The reason I say that is just because Poland is kind of they've been the centerpiece for all of the feeding into Ukraine. So everything that the U.S. delivers has been pretty much into Poland. That gets pushed from Poland across the border into Ukraine for delivery of assets. So I think if one was going to pop off, I think that would probably be the spot if I had to guess. But yeah, it's this is the first time we've had a world war where all the superpowers are nuclear capable. And so between China and Russia, somebody's gonna pop one off, I would imagine.
Yeah, and North Korea. And then you throw China in, saying something to the effect of they're going to be increasing their nuclear pursuits because of America. And, so it's just the dynamics. When I think of the Bible, I hear where Jesus is talking about wars and rumors of wars. I know those things will develop to their full capacity, their fullness during the tribulation period. But man, we can certainly see things shaping up right now, which should have everybody on alert. When you talk to people are nervous. We do not live in a time of peace and safety, as one of the prophetic indicators. We're not there yet.
Right.
This world is going to get there. I don't know if that's going to be pre-rapture or after the rapture, but we are definitely not there yet. People are on the edge, and we're watching inflation. It's interesting. You mentioned that about the airlines and the fuel, and I've been following that for years. The airlines are able to buy futures when it comes to fuel. And I typically am flying one of the bigger airlines like American or United. I'll be flying American when I come out to see you. But the seats, the tickets, they skyrocketed in the last 4 weeks. And so I'm thinking, okay, you have different problems, different things going on. There is inflation, but if they already have the fuel, then why are the prices already going up so much? For one thing, they can. But I'm thinking, what's it going to be like 6 months from now as we continue to watch all of this?
Yeah. When their new reserves are higher than they are now. Yeah, I would agree with you. They're hedging right now. The problem, and probably one of the reasons why they are jacking their prices up right now. One, they always do it going into summer, but two, their load factors aren't that high, right? And so if you're familiar with load factors on airlines, that basically they have to have a certain amount of capacity in order to break even on every airplane that flies, right? And so they offset a lot of that with mail and stuff like that. The airlines carry more mail than any other carrier out there. USPS doesn't have their own airplanes. They use airlines to move their stuff. And so, but yeah, their load factors are down significantly because not that many people are flying like they used to. They just haven't bounced back from post COVID. And so then you got the fuel cost stacked on top of that, plus it's summertime when they typically do a rate increase in the summer anyway. That's when they start their price gouging. So
there's so many interesting dynamics taking place. One of them is when we were in Israel. I'm sure people are listening to me are tired of hearing this, but it's still on my mind. And it was wide open. It was fantastic. No masks, nothing. And as of now, you do not have to have a PCR test to go into Israel. It's like nice. one of the holdout countries. The biggest problem is the United States. I know Australia's got their thing still going. I still get people from Australia emailing me, and some from Canada. I can't really tell with Canada exactly what's happening because I get different reports from emails from there. But United States was the biggest problem when it came to traveling when I went to and from Israel. Just very interesting dynamics about what's happening.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You look at even the China lockdown, right? The fact that they locked down most of the major cities. Beijing, I think, is the one that's on lockdown right now. But you got Shanghai and several others that were locked down. But yet, if you went to the airport and looked at the flights, they're still flying in there. every day, the boards were full. And I'm thinking, how are you have no hope of a true lockdown if you're still allowing travelers in and out. I mean, every airplane you figure on average, those are probably long haul, large aircraft, 300 plus passengers, right? Coming from all over the world into your city that you've got on lockdown. You're not going to stop a virus that way. And the only way to do it is to stop everything coming in, everything going out, lock everybody down. I mean, if you're going to do it. So it just makes you question how serious they were about a lockdown. If you're still allowing flights and passengers and people coming into your country, oh
yeah,
can't be that serious.
I'd like to say a lot more, but I don't want to get shut off right now. But I mean, I'm looking at this going, I have this report from Agenda Weekly, and great quote by Thomas Jefferson: "A well-informed citizenry is the best defense against tyranny." And then first story with Agenda Weekly is Biden establishes Orwellian Ministry of Truth in wake of Elon Musk's Twitter accusation. The Department of Homeland Security is establishing a new disinformation governance board, which we're all informed of now. Ministry of Truth. I mean, you look at this is evil. There's nothing good about this. They don't want to allow free speech is really what this is happening here. Do you think they're going to get away with this at this point?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think they will. To what level and what degree, I don't know. It'll probably be on the peripheral first. You'll see things like RT news sources like that. That's Russian Times, right? You'll see things like that start to get scrutinized. You'll see social media start to get popped. But yeah, folks like us that are out there talking, speaking truth about what's going on, they'll probably shut us down. I don't know that they'll persecute us, but they'll probably just shut our channels down, try and take our voice away. And but yeah, I think they'll definitely do that. That's tyranny. I mean, you don't allow people to talk and speak truth. Really not far off of communism. That's really what Russia and China do to their people, right?
It is. So yeah, I saw an article earlier today. I didn't have any time to really get into it, and I was hoping I was going to have time because I wanted to bring it up with you. But it's I can't remember. It's the president of one of the medical organizations that said disinformation is killing more people than COVID. Disinformation. But it's this kind of narrative that's out there that is going to bring it about. And there's a whole lot of people that believe that. I mean, look at how many people have believed all the arguments against the things that we say. So when you constantly bring up disinformation as the problem, listen, we're all going to die unless we're all on the same page. There's enough people that believe this type of nonsense that they're going to be able to shape what's coming. It was George Orwell, 1984. When you have, gosh, I can't even remember what it is right now. Oh, you know what? I got the book right here. I can tell you exactly what it is. I'll come up with the quote. George Orwell. Let's see. What did he say? Here it is. During times of universal deceit, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. So that was from 1984. So certainly we can see that direction of everything now. I mean, when you're out here trying to do what you do or do what I do, you know that telling the truth is really disturbing the powers that be, whether it be the government or these people that are involved in the social media. With that, there's this other info out there. It was Henry Kissinger. I got to find all the different names. Henry Kissinger, along with, let me see, here it is. Here it was. Henry Kissinger. Oh, where did it go? I can't find it. Go with this. It was Henry Kissinger, John Gilbreth, and Herman Kahn. They began the World Economic Forum. They're the ones who took Klaus Schwab. They found him and put him in place. Remember when Ocasio-Cortez, she comes on the scene. I don't know if you saw any of those videos where people were being interviewed on who these Marxists could run in a position of politics in that district that she comes from. Did you ever see any of those videos?
No.
Okay.
No.
And she was just one of the people auditioning for the job. And I
Wow.
watched the whole thing and I said, this is the perfect person, the perfect candidate to be our mouthpiece to do what she
Yeah.
does. And she's done a
Yeah.
remarkable job. What I
Yeah.
gather is Klaus Schwab fits that bill. He has the
Yeah.
Nazi background from his father, but then you start following this out and you go, okay, here's Kissinger. I remember when he was part of Nixon's administration when I was a kid. And you
Yeah.
look at this, started by these guys, Henry Kissinger, the CIA, funded by the CIA, and I believe the Council on Foreign Relations. And you're looking at these things going, okay, then we have the Orwellian organization of the Biden administration right now with the Disinformation Act. All of this is being shaped up. All of it is going the same particular direction, and they must shut down our voice in order
Yeah.
to bring about what they want to bring about. So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Bush Senior was part of that group too.
Yeah.
He was a big New World Order
right.
guy, and he goes back in, into the CIA, into that old 5-star trust, and yeah, that's they're going to do it. That's my thing. Is I think what we're witnessing, and the reason we're seeing, I don't know if you saw that press release that came out with World Economic Forum and the UN talking about how they were going to accelerate Vision 2030 because they're ahead of schedule on their implementation. But that's part of it all. I mean, these guys they've got a goal and an agenda, and they're marching to that lockstep. And you can see it around us. That's why when you're asking those questions about what's going on with the Constitution of the United States and our supply chain and all these other different things, that's all part of their big plan. If they take us out, then everything else will just fall right into place. So, yeah, it's incredible.
It is incredible to see all of this taking place. I forgot about Bush Senior and those connections there. So you got the Trilateral Commission, all this. So in this book, Monkey, and I'm not doing this as a promo for the book because I don't even have a bookstore anymore. Hopefully one day I'll have a bookstore. But in here, I brought up some of the dynamics and a lot of it about Agenda 2030, what it was, the intention of Agenda 2030, and how much money it's going to cost because so much of it has to do with the green deals. Well, the green deals are really impossible to implement. They know that. The sustainable deals, that's not their intention. Their intention isn't actually to bring it about. Monkey, don't hold this against me, but I have solar at my house.
Okay.
We bought our house 10 years ago. We live in the desert. It gets super hot in the summer. And after about 6 months of living in it, I realized we're going to go bankrupt if we don't do something with our electric bill because we have old windows and all that. So we've replaced all that, but we bought solar. We didn't lease it. We purchased it 9 years ago, and it doesn't solve the problems. The lies are incredible. In fact, now I get penalized now by for having solar. And yet the state of California is still telling people you got to have solar. So when you have electric cars, you have solar energy, you have all of this stuff going on. Listen, it actually costs an incredible amount of money to develop any of these. It takes petroleum to develop these things. The batteries alone, today in the city of San Francisco, they reported that 1 out of every 4 charging stations for cars don't even work. So trying to get to this place, and then regarding the supply chain for green deals, 90% of the supply chain can't even handle the green policy. So we're being lied to about all of this stuff. And you have John Kerry and Barack Obama and the rest of them that buy oceanfront property about what, 2 inches above the sea level.
Yeah.
And they're doing this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, they're tied to that Terramar project too. And I don't know if you saw that or not, but Terramar is the project that Miss Maxwell started. She was a founder of that. And
okay,
and
hold on a second. I didn't see this. Miss Maxwell, as in
Ghislaine Maxwell,
Epstein's girlfriend.
Yes.
Her, seriously? I didn't hear about her connection with this. I got to hear more.
So so she founded a company called a foundation called the Terramar Project, and it's basically where people claim citizenship of the ocean. So, and you think about the planet, 72% water, And so, but yeah, that's one of the things. Matter of fact, it's kind of a head splitter here. You know, John Podesta, right?
Oh yeah.
You probably remember pictures of him and
John
rumors
Podesta.
about, child stuff, really weird stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, there's a picture of him. On one hand, he has a fish drawn on his hand, and on this hand, he has a 14, right? And so now, if you go to the World Economic Forum or the UN and you look at Vision 2030, go to number 14 on the list. There's 17 steps. Number 14 on the list is fish. It's a fish in 14, and it's life below water, I think it is. So it's definitely all tied together. So when you talk about them being on the beach and having close proximity to the ocean and everything else, I'm not shocked by it at all. This Terramar project has people that are members of it, like the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. It's the Gates of the world. It's these people that are all the super elite. And that's, it's a rabbit hole. I'll be honest with you. It goes pretty deep, but it's all tied together, all of it. It's incredible.
Okay, this is interesting. I'm working on this project. My dad is 91. He's almost 92 years old. He worked in, and he told me I could go public with it, but get all my facts right. So back in the late 1950s, the first couple of years in the 1960s, he worked for a company called Teledyne, and there was another company, and he was in Los Angeles at the time. And with that, their connections, they worked together with IBM and the whole bit. So he gets invited. He would have been 30 years old, 28, 29, 30 years old. My dad was a chemical engineer. That's what he went to college for. So he was smarter than me. Everything progressed into the tech industry of that day. He gave me a great education on Silicon Valley and how Nate got his name Silicon Valley and all these different things. So he was invited to a party in the Hollywood Hills, Beverly Hills area. He said it was great. He named the players that were all there. They're all names that somebody like Monkey would recognize, even though most of these guys are deceased. Now you would know their names.
Hughes and guys like that.
Oh right? Yeah, it was really crazy. So he's standing up there with all these big wigs, IBM and Teledyne and the rest of them. And he said one of the guys came up to the party. He goes, I didn't know him. He was a guest. He didn't work for the companies. And he goes, look, Jim, you see all of these people down below. So you're looking at all the lights of the city. He goes, you want to know something? We're going to control every single one of them. And he goes, we are working that direction. This is 1960. Yeah. So, and then he gave me all kinds of details. He started naming names and right on down the list, talked about how Microsoft actually got its beginning and all these different things. But in 1960, he said this was their plan. He said they were laying out how they were going to do that. So what was that, 60 years ago? And then you look at where we are today. So it's no wonder the things you're talking about. Listen, all of these things are connected, and this has been a plan. And these guys have known for a long, long, long time technology was going to be the tool that was going to be able to get them there. What I did with my dad, because he's older, I wanted to make sure I got him on record. I recorded the whole thing so I can put it into some kind of written format so people can read it. But they're just off the charts when you start hearing about this stuff. And we're living in a day when we are watching all of these things develop. And as such, Monkey, I don't think the food shortage is an accident because it's solvable. I don't think the supply chain issues are an accident, especially when I start looking at the freight train industry and the diesel fuel. What's going on there? There's too many things that don't make sense, but what they are going to do, they're going to bring about compliance of people. People are going to start freaking out 6 months from now when they can't get the food then that they can now. They already know some things are missing from the shelves. Prices are going up. But when they start hearing, from what I understand, Monkey, when I hear about the food crisis, they're saying places in Africa are going to be absolutely devastated by this.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is what they call it's going to be. It's an event that's what's the word I'm looking for when you have like an asteroid hit the planet? It's a life limiting event deal.
Yeah.
I'm having a Biden moment, but yeah, it is definitely famine of it's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad. And the countries that the U.S. will even be experiencing this. There'll be a lot of death from famine because of poverty. I mean, there's already the poverty line so broad around the world right now that, there's I forget what the number was, but it was an insane amount of people that live less than $2 a day that can't get food, can't get water, and that's now. And so when that starts to hit in the coming months, you're going to see there's going to be a lot of people die, a lot of people, unfortunately, around the world.
Okay, so you take Corona. Let me state this real quick. Listen, start sending in your questions. Make sure you put question in all caps, and so I can read them rather easy. I don't have the monitor set up to be able to just go through. I got to look at my phone, so you got to be patient with me. So start sending in your questions. Okay, Monkey. Thinking of the food crisis, I mean, there are so many things to talk about. Bill Gates, by the way, he just did a TED Talk just recently, and he introduced, I'm sure you heard about it, his germ plan. What's it called? There's a name for it. We can make COVID-19 the last pandemic, global epidemic response and mobilization team to stop outbreaks before they become pandemics. Baby, it's coming. If these guys are planning it's coming because they're all together.
Yeah, 100%. And when he talks about stopping it before it starts, that's taking people into camps is what that's doing. That's going proactive.
Yeah.
Is what he's doing.
Yeah, so let's go back a year and a half in our minds, and we were reading reports about certain things that New York has on the books and Australia we know of, certain places in America, FEMA camps and different things. I'm thinking, listen, there's a plan behind all of this. And I remember reading there were certain European nations, not to mention places in America, where laws were passed during the pandemic that we don't even know about yet to do things just like that.
Yeah, and you can't do anything about it. It's we even saw CDC was floating stuff out here in America that was talking about green zones, right, where it would lock you down. You'd quarantine at a neighborhood level, at your house level, and then at a city level. I mean, there's definitely plans in place to do a lot of that. So extinction level event, that's the word I was looking for.
Extinction level event. So they're telling us it's coming. This whole thing could be averted. I was talking with a friend earlier today, just a few hours ago, because we're here in California. California stopped building dams, I think around 1980 or something like that. I can't remember exactly when. The state did. Now, there's still municipalities that have built some dams around. There's one not too far from my house, but the state did. Okay, since their last dam, the state of California's population has doubled. So, and then you watch rivers just rush into the ocean out here too. Okay, so where's all the water going? So the water problems in places like California, Arizona, Nevada, there are drought. These water problems could be fixed if right now they decided, let's start building dams. 5 years from now, we wouldn't have any issues.
Yeah.
So
they
aren't going to do that.
Design. It's all intentional.
It is intentional. Yeah, it is.
It's absolutely crazy.
Okay, question. Let's see. Do you think tribunals are taking place and will the public ever see them? Do you know what that's referring to?
Yeah, I see that. Talking about stuff going on down in Guantanamo Bay. Now, I don't know about tribunals as what they are saying because there's a lot of misinformation out there on that. But I will tell you, Tom, if I go back about a year ago, there was a huge uptick in flights in and out of Guantanamo Bay. And we were able to correlate a lot of those flights with arrests around human trafficking. And so there are things going on. There are trials going on down in Guantanamo Bay right now as we speak, 4 people tied to human trafficking. That's no doubt in my mind. And that's going on. And so, but tribunals, that's a little different. That's where they're talking about people being held for treason, for betraying our country and everything else. And I don't know. I don't think so. Not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
I think maybe,
Not
hopefully
yet.
one day, but
Okay, but so as you look at this, I'm thinking, okay, it's a matter of time because just the things you and I talk about, according to Biden's disinformation organization,
yeah.
we'd be considered treasonous
Yes.
against America and against the world. The way this is shaping up globally.
Jace.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I think. I think it's a lot of this is going to be turned on its head. I think a lot of us think there's going to be some justice served, and I don't know that it's going to come that way. I think what's going to happen is you're going to end up seeing people like patriots that are going to go to these camps that they're doing, and those will be the ones that'll be tried. So yeah, unfortunately.
Yep. They're going to silence the social media. They'll silence this type of thing, and then they'll silence the person.
Yeah, and I say that mainly because if you go and read your Bible, that's the direction everything goes. I mean, this is not there is everybody thinks well Trump's going to come back and everything will go back to normal and things like that. And I mean, it's God. If God decides that and that's what happens, and great, that's fantastic. It would be really nice to see a little bit of justice on our side, but you look at everything that's taken shape. Everything from the big picture, America is just a flash in the pan. We're really not a big part of this. But you look at the Gog Magog, you look at the Third Temple, you look at Israel, all of those things are lining up to indicate that we're getting ready to head into a very trying time, right? You got Jacob's trouble on the horizon, right? You got a giant tribulation coming. And those are the things that, I mean, if you look at the world around us, that's the direction we're heading. It's not heading in a direction of hey, this is going to be great. Justice is going to take place. I just don't see it.
Yeah. Justice will be served when Jesus returns.
Yes.
And what Jesus talked about with the signs, they were warning signs. When you see these things, look out and look up and lift up your head because your redemption draws near. But the picture that the Bible gives is one of what we're seeing. That's what it gies.
Exactly.
It does say the people say peace and safety, and Jesus did also say, as it was in the days of Noah, as it was in the days of Lot, so will it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man, where people are eating and drinking and giving in marriage and building and so forth. But I believe that quite likely takes place after the rapture. Because Antichrist is going to come on the scene, and he's going to seem to have the solutions to all the problems. And what do? You lock up the patriots that weren't believers, and because they're still going to be here, and and there's going to be resistors. Okay, got to ask you some questions here. This comes from this is more of a statement from Justin Hager. And I think this regards the Georgia Guidestones, which I've seen before. If they only want 500 million population. Now I've heard this coming not just from people who've read the Georgia Guidestones. I remember reading something coming out of the Vatican probably about 2005 or 2006, and they were saying we need to get the population down to this. Bill Gates has said these things many times before. I remember 2007, 08, 09, quoting Bill Gates as saying this type of thing.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, there is a reason why the media, the mainstream media, isn't sounding the alarm. It's because they are all singing to the same sheet of music. If they started telling people, hey, food shortages are coming, it would mess with their timing. They're trying to control the timing of these events. And I think there is a nefarious plan 3 to 6 months from now for the timing of all of this to take place. And that is, you got an election coming up. They cannot afford to have anybody disrupt their plans right now. And they definitely can't have Trump get it back in 2024, right? Because he's, if you remember in the Great Reset, if you read the book, I know you read the book because you and I have talked about it, but Klaus talks about the fact that this whole pandemic is an opportunity to get back on track. And the reason they were not on track is because Trump disrupted all of their plans. He was shutting everything down and changed everything up on them. And so now they got a puppet in there that and they're just moving out and they're ahead of schedule. And so that's the that's the crux of it all, I think.
So COVID was the accelerator to
Yes.
get this thing pushed. Listen, same book. Again, I'm not promoting it because I don't have a bookstore, but in it was titled America in the New World Order. I wrote it, published it in 2016, wrote it in 2015. And I have this. This is just a couple of quotes. In 2015, Pope Francis, in his encyclical on climate change, said international negotiations cannot make significant progress due to positions taken by countries which place their national interests above the global common good. That's nationalism. And that's exactly what you were just saying about the problem with Trump and the World Economic Forum. They realize they can't have that. He said this: there's urgent need of a true world political authority, one authoritative source of oversight and coordination, which lays down the rules for admissible conduct in the light of the global common good. So that was 2015 when he said that. This has been in the works. We're watching it, and then Agenda 2030 and the whole bit. It is remarkable. We're living in it. But again, Jesus said, when you see these things, man, you know that the time is close. So again, we don't just talk about these things just to talk about them. It's help us to understand what's really going on and what the end game is too. The end game is this: no matter what men do, Jesus is coming.
Amen. Yes, he is. Yeah, and if he came today, right now, it would not be too soon for me. I'm ready.
No. Hey, by the way, everybody, before I have a question coming up. Hey, this one's from Vindog. Hey, Vindog. So we're going to be in Huntington Beach. Monkey's going to be joining me. Prophecy Conference in August 12 and 13. We'll start the registration. It looks like next Monday or Tuesday. I do expect the registration to fill up within the first day. So I'm just telling you, pay attention to the videos and whatever. But that's coming. Billy Crone's going to be with us. Brandon Holthouse, Andy Woods will be there. It's going to be a great conference.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. I'm looking forward to it.
That's going to be really good. I can't wait to have you with me. I can't wait to be at dinner with you in a few weeks.
I know. Dude, it's going to be good.
Okay, Vindog. Question for Monkey. How many camps do you think they are in California, and is it in the Antelope Valley where Lockheed Martin is located? That's pretty specific, Vinny.
Boy, that is really specific. I'd have to go look at my Google deal. There were at last count, there are 38 camps out there that I'd been able to precisely, that were tied to immigration, so to speak, just in the U.S. So it could be. They are definitely a lot of those popping up that I haven't been keeping track of. So, I mean, China right now is building camps like nobody's business. They've got freeways. I don't know if you saw the pictures. They've got freeways with double wide trailers stacked.
Oh yeah,
miles of them.
I did. So that's what that is. So I've been out of touch. I'm just starting to start to get back into the groove today. So I saw that on Saturday. I saw that picture or videos of it.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Well, I was watching them taking little kids away that were in full on like hazmat suits.
Yeah,
taking away
stormtroopers. I saw that, all white stormtroopers. Yeah, the psychological warfare on those kids right now is insane. I could not imagine being a child in that environment. I just couldn't. Absolutely
terrible. These questions are coming in quite fast, and I'm losing.
Yeah, I'm watching it. You got almost 4,000 people watching, so it's the chat is zinging. So,
yeah. Question: will the Prophecy Conference be available online? That's from Carrie Kale. That's a question for me. Yes, it will be available online, and it's going to be really inexpensive too, because we just want people to watch. So, because I really do think that it's going to. I just think registration is going to fill up right away. It's like take advantage of it before they got some other weird lockdown. I agree. I'm looking at November, and because of the election, and there's no way they're going to let before everything. They've got to control the masses. So you mentioned in one of your videos when you're talking about you showed all the ships and the supply chain in China
Yeah.
on the water there, that realistically we could end up with such a bad supply chain issue that, listen, martial law is going to come, and
Yeah.
it could easily come at the time of election. I know you're not making a prediction, but I mean, when you
No.
start working these things out, you're going, look, the Pope said we can't have a nationalistic movement. All these
Yeah.
globalists are thinking the same thing. So
They are.
yeah,
Well, and it's timing of everything, right? When I'm looking at what they're talking about, the mainstream is talking about, and this also talks. When I say mainstream, you're talking about World Economic Forum, you're talking about UN, you're talking about WHO, you're talking about the Fed, you're talking about the Biden administration, right? They are the ones making the statement that we're going to have shortages in about 6 months, and that puts it right at October, November timeframe. That's right around the time of the election. But my opinion is it's going to happen before then. The reason I say that is you're probably going to have, for one, all of the Chinese stuff. We buy a ton of stuff from China, a ton of stuff. The stuff that we have on our shelves right now is going to dry up because nothing's coming to replenish it. You can't get it. You go try to buy an iPhone. If it wasn't in stock and they've got to manufacture it, or a MacBook, anything like that, they're now telling you where it used to be you'd get it in 10 days. It's now, into July, early August, and the dates just keep slipping because manufacturing is not taking place. There's no manufacturing, no production, nothing moving. And so when you burn down your residual inventory level, there is no replenishment. And so you can't pull the trigger and order something and get it here in another 2 weeks. It's going to be months and months and months before that stuff even gets here. And so that is the stuff that is going to hit us in about the 3-month time frame. I think 2 to 3 months, you'll see it start to deplete around 2, and around 3, you'll hear people say, I can't even get it. And it's not stuff that you really think about. It's things like cereal boxes, it's things like the packet that goes around the cereal boxes. It's not the cereal. It's the stuff that we use to put it in. It's the one little product that goes into, a component that they make that they can't get, and that's the kind of shortages. And the repercussions are going to be brutal, and that's where you'll start to see people kind of flipping out. We're going into riot season anyway. That's the summertime, right? That's when people start getting stupid. And so the timing is just right. You're going to be about 3 months in. You're talking about August. Things will start getting stupid, and then it'll get stupid up until right around the election time, when everything, all of a sudden, the real shortages will start to show up. The cost for food is going to go through the roof, and people will start taking to the streets. And I think that's their plan. I think that's the timing of it.
Good time.
Because
go ahead.
Yeah, because they can't afford to have to lose their power in this administration. Right. And so if you get all these pro-Trumpers coming in, taking over, it's going to set back their agenda, and they can't have that.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you saw, I think so far out of the 55 candidates that Trump backed, 55 won.
Wow.
It was 55-0. Did you see that? It was.
I have not. I haven't been keeping score. I'm just watching Trump.
I saw the numbers yesterday. So you're looking at this going, okay, there's a problem. This is from Goya Foods. We are on the precipice of a global food crisis. And Rockefeller Foundation just said last week that we have, this confirms what you're saying, about 6 months before a massive, immediate food crisis. That's Rockefeller Foundation. So they're talking global, which is another thing when it comes to the Bible. It's a global thing that we're talking about now. When the pandemic hit, you and I talked. I said, this is global now. This is what makes this different than any other time before. And the people are submitted globally to what's going on. A lot of unwillingness with some of the people like us, but still, it's like, what could you do? You didn't have a choice. You decide, okay, I'm not going to travel. I'm not going to go to this store because I have to wear a mask. Well, I'm not submitting, but I am, because I have to make a decision to not do certain things. Everybody came under this bizarre thing. So again, this is another global thing. There's never been a global famine before. I mean, unless you go back to the time of Noah.
Yeah. No, I mean, you had food shortages in World War I, World War II, but it was rationing. It wasn't global famine to the degree that we are about to see. That's for sure.
Yeah. Here's a question. We're almost out of time. I don't want to, I promise, this is what I do. I promise all my guests 45 minutes, and we always end up going about this long. So I'm going to let you go in a minute. Pete Garcia is tomorrow, by the way.
What's that now?
Pete Garcia is tomorrow.
Oh, nice. Good.
Yeah, your neighbor. So he'll be on with me.
Nice.
Do you think the mass delusion will be created by a physical element like changes in the sun or changes in our food?
Oh, that I don't know. I mean, that's almost like a 5G question. I don't really know. I don't have an answer to that one. What are your thoughts?
Okay, what do you think of Q? I know what I think of Q, and I'm pretty sure I know what you think of Q.
It's a psyop.
Okay, thank you.
The big psyop. Yeah, 100%. I saw that flash pass there. Yeah, that's the thing. You know what? And you can go all the way back to when I was on Twitter before I got on YouTube, and I told people, don't put your faith in man or whatever this is. Put your faith in God. And psyops are designed for that. That's the whole thing. But there were, psyops, in order for a psyop to be successful, there is a element of truth that goes into it. And so, yeah, that's exactly what that was.
Totally. And so many, it's like the devil. There's enough truth to hook you in, and then enough sensationalism to get people to go, I got to listen to this. Yeah. But there's enough lies in there. You got to be very careful. Amy Paula says, no faith in Trump, only in the Lord. If the Lord uses Trump again, I'm on board. But it is the Lord's work. I agree. My trust is in the Lord. Monkey's trust is in the Lord. Praise the Lord. Here's a question for Monkey. I can't answer this. I'm not sure exactly how to go about this. Are air flights that go around the globe, let's say from South America down over Antarctica and to Greenland or Canada, which would be a shorter flight pattern? I don't understand that question. So,
okay.
I don't know if you understand it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not.
It might have been somebody trying to trick you into saying the Earth was flat. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Hey, I asked you that question the other day, and you're with you and James.
Yes, you did. That was great.
I threw that softball right in there.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, man. Listen, I'm going to get people mad at me, but like it was the other day, I still believe the Earth is round. I believe it's a globe. I mean, that's I don't know.
Yeah, I've traveled around the world, and so I don't ever recall at any point did anything just flip and I ended up. Not only that, but hey, look around you in space. There is not. Tell me where you find any square or flat object out there in the other than a galaxy that is spinning flat. But I mean, look at the moon's round, the sun's round, all the planets are round. Why would we not be round as well? It just doesn't.
It doesn't make any sense to me. And why has no one ever reached the end of the Earth if it's not round?
Yeah.
I also find this interesting in the Bible.
Never heard back from them.
No, I say I mean, they've reached the end. Let's see. This is okay. Well. This person has kind of a heartbreaking question. My daughter's getting married in October. How bad will it be? Well, I mean,
I would not hold a wedding in Ukraine in October.
Yeah.
That I would say, but
yeah. So there's some other questions on here. This will be the last one. I have a fixed mortgage. I'll soon be eligible for 401k with upcoming banking collapse. Should I pay off mortgage, invest in crypto, gold, silver? Listen, we're not financial experts. You got to make your own decision on money. But let me just address this real quick. This will be the last thing. Where do you see the economy going? We've talked about food shortages. We've talked about FEMA camps. We've talked about a lot of other things. There's obviously economic dynamics that are a big deal. I mean, you can't print
Yeah.
trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars without having inflation. But where do you see this going?
Yeah, you know what, it has to. I mean, you can see the inflation that's coming. You can hear the Fed talking about a lot of different scenarios playing out. I mean, they're exploring crypto. I know the last time they started to extend the budget or something, I want to say Janet Yellen was actually talking about the Fed was out of options. But we watched things going on in China. The fact that they shut down and the fact that their GDP is in the toilet, I think it is. It's just a matter of time before you have to have a reset because you just can't keep hitting print. I mean, well, they've been doing it for a while, but eventually somebody's got to pay the piper, right?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be paid up here real soon. Hey, Matthew, can you do me a favor? And I just noticed in the description, Monkey's info isn't in there. If you could please put that in there for all the different ways to contact Monkey and stay in touch with Monkey. We've changed a lot of things in the studio, Monkey. We did have the lower thirds. It would have our guest name, their email, their website, web address, and all that. That changed probably about a month ago. We're going to get it back. Some other equipment things we have to adjust. But so please accept my apologies on that. But we'll get the description added so everybody watching it later will be able to see that. Any final things you want to say to everybody?
No, I just say, hey, listen, keep the faith. Like we always talk about, faith over fear. Don't let none of this stuff scare you. Right now, the fact that you're hearing about the things coming, it's a great opportunity to start making those plans if you haven't already done so, to just start looking at, getting some food supplies, get water. I personally recommend get a gas mask because you can live off of water, or live without water about 3 days. You can live without food for, a little longer, but air, you're down to, about a minute. So
okay, let me ask you this. Coming. There's a second person today I talked to said something about a gas mask. What's your reasoning for gas mask?
Could be anything. Could be volcanic ash. It could be anything from smoke, from fires. Could be anything that compromises the air around you in general. I mean, it's just something that you got to be able to breathe, and you got to be able to filter it. And if you let all that stuff, someone that has had long COVID, I can tell you, it wreaked havoc on my lungs, and I couldn't imagine being compromised, not being able to breathe. So yeah, that's my rationale behind it, is just because you never know when you may need something like that to survive. It has nothing to do with viruses or anything like that. It's just anything in the environment that may compromise your ability to breathe clearly.
Yeah, now you really scared everybody. Thank you. No, but here's the reality of it. I mean, if we go back 2.5 years, who would think we'd be here talking about these things now and living what we've lived through? And it doesn't take a genius to figure out the direction this is going to go. I mean, they're telling us every day, and so it's going this direction. Whether or not it's manipulated or just so happens to be going that way. It is coming, but the good news is Jesus told us it was coming too.
Yes.
And and he told us how it's going to end. He's coming back. So we do have great news. We do have a reason to be hopeful. That's why Monkey and I can also laugh and smile too, because this is going to end awesome. And you're going to be a very happy person if you know the Lord.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm rapture ready. I'm whenever. I don't worry about any of this stuff. It's I'm preparing, but it's it's just because that's the smart thing to do, But
Amen. Be prepared. Yeah. Hey, thank you very much for joining me today, Monkey. Again, tomorrow Pete Garcia will be with me live 2:00 Pacific Standard Time, and the conference is coming up in August. We'll keep you informed on that. Monkey, I look forward to having you back. Can't wait to have you back. You're a very busy man. So as soon as we can coordinate our schedules, I'd love to have you back on.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Just let me know, my man.
Anytime. That's a dangerous word.
Yeah, I told that to James,
Yeah, and he took advantage of it.
I'm on his show every week.
There you go. God bless you, everybody.